Catherine. So I'm going to get started. It's 9 o'clock. I haven't done much yoga because I'm busy. So, you know,
Good, so we're all rusty.
We're all rusty, and
Yep.
We will do a nice gentle class to get us back into fighting.
Good.
I'm leaving the
Good.
door open because the cat's wandering in and out.
I
So.
just saw her. Yeah.
All right, so let's come onto your mats and lie down on your back. And I'm going to lie in constructive rest pose, which is leaving your knees bent, bringing your feet out to the side and bringing your knees together. Or
Okay.
you could lie down on your back if you want to with your legs spread out.
Oh, it doesn't work.
If you want to mute yourself, you can. If you're already down, it doesn't
Oh, I think I will. Because you won't know when I'm cheating.
I
Right.
don't know when I'm groaning.
There's no cheating in yin. Yin is the kind of practice that you can, whatever you're doing, if you're feeling it, it's good. There's no right way to do it. That's why I love it. Kitties love yin too. So let's find a nice way to soften and release, allowing your body to melt down into the surface. Take a nice full breath in, filling your torso with breath. And then let it out slowly. Become aware of the areas that are landing on the surface, the back of your head, your shoulders, your sacrum. If your knees are bent, it'll be your feet, your heels and soles of your feet. If you're all the way down, it'll be the back of your calves and your heels. Take several more full breaths, nice full breath in, perhaps holding it for several seconds and then slowly letting it out. And with every exhale, just allow yourself to sink a little deeper and surrender into the surface. Last deep breath in, hold for 5 seconds. And slowly let it out. So we're going to begin just a little bit of joint release, starting to nod the head, rolling it from side to side, feeling the back of your neck, the back of your skull, getting a good, gentle massage. Do one more roll from one side to the other. And then back to center. And we're going to come back to center and we're going to do snow angel arms. So you can do them with your arms out fully extended, or you can do them with your fingertips on your shoulder. It doesn't really matter because we're just working the shoulders. So I'm going to keep my arms down and I'm going to keep my palms up for a few. I'm going to raise your arms up as much as your body wants. So I got stuff there. As high as they go and no higher, and then lower them down slowly. Do a couple more. You can have palms up or palms down. I'm going to try palms down. is it you get a different angle in the shoulder depending on if your palms are up or down. I'm going to go back to up. So for the third one, palms up, I'm going to lift my arms up. See if I can bring them up overhead completely. And wherever your arms landed, just leave them there and tuck the shoulder blades underneath. Lengthen out the back of your neck. And just let's stay here for a few breaths. Getting some stretch into the armpit area and the side body. And you can leave your arms up overhead if they're there, or you can bring them down horizontally beside your body, or you can bring them down to your hips, wherever you want to have your arms for the next position. You're going to take your feet wide to the edges of the mat, right feet to the right edge, left foot to the left edge. And then we're going to just begin to do some windshield wiper movements, just gently, again, waking up the side body. You can feel this from the ribs down to the knees, just whatever sensation you feel. You don't overdo it. We're just gently waking up the side body and the hips. Keep the chin low. Don't let your chin rise up, as it likes to do. Now, the next time your knees are over to the right, I'm going to drop the knees down, and they may or may not reach the mat. That's all right. We're just going to let them hang there. Unless it's uncomfortable. If it's uncomfortable, you can put a prop under your knees. I'm going to stay here for just about a minute, just softening through the groin, softening through the sides of the hips, the inner thighs. Just feeling a good release here. I did a lot more sitting than I normally do during the power outage. I did my yin yoga in bed, but it's not quite as effective. Keep noticing if you're softening those joints in the knees and the hips, keeping the groin area soft, the feet. 3 more breaths. And then gently raise the knees up. Come back to center. And we'll just do a few more windshield wipers before we take the knees over to the left. Okay, and the next swing to the left, you're going to drop those knees down. You can change your hand position if you're not liking the one you're in, or you can stay just where you are. Again, keeping that area from the waist to the knees really soft, relaxed, letting go. Three more breaths. And slowly draw those knees back to center. Bring your arms down by your sides. And we're going to hug the knees in. I'm going to just grab them behind my thighs. I'm not trying to overdo anything here, and I want to keep my shoulders relaxed, but you can grab onto your shins if that works better for you. We're just going to stay here for a minute, releasing the low back. And now we're going to do some mini core work. So you're going to take a nice deep breath in, press your belly button into the mat, and lift your chin into your chest. And then exhale down. Take a breath. We're going to inhale in. We're going to hold it when the chin's in, and then exhale on the release. So inhale. Lift the head up, hold the breath. Bring the chin down to the chest. And release, exhale down. I'm going to do that 3 more times. So if you want a little more sensation, you can move your hands up, or you can even keep your hands out straight, depending on how much core work you feel like doing this morning. So inhale, lift, hold, press that chin in, and exhale down. Inhale, lift, hold, and exhale down. Last one. We're going to inhale, lift, hold, press that head up, lift the shoulders off the mat if you want to, and exhale down. Gently rock those hips from side to side. And then we're going to extend those legs straight up towards the ceiling. In Viparita Karani, legs up the wall. Wiggle your toes a little bit, pick up those feet. And then if you want to rest your hands on the sides of your thighs, then take those legs apart, doing a wide-legged legs up the wall, supporting your thighs with your hands. Relax the inner thighs. And now on an inhale, we're going to draw those knees in towards the shoulder blades and reach up and grab as high as you can reach. It could be your shins, your ankles, or it could be your arches, your toes. We're going to come into this happy baby pose. Relax the shoulders. Relax the place where your hips connects to your pelvis. Soften your knee joints. Soften your shoulder blades and your jaw. And just take some full breaths here. 2 more deep inhales and exhales. And then we're going to extend the legs down onto the mat. And take a moment to just feel the rebound from the joint release. Notice any changes that may have happened in your body, mind, soul, spirit, since just waking up the joints. Sometimes I'll notice that my breath seems to flow a little deeper, a little freer, like I've created some more space in my body. So we're going to roll over to your side and make your way up to seated. And I'm going to make this full screen here. All right, so we're warmed up and we're going to do some wide-legged work here. So I'm going to take your legs as wide as is comfortable. I don't have a lot of props today. Wanted to do the class without a lot of props, but you're welcome, as always, to have your props handy. I just have a couple of blocks. I have my strap and I have my roller. So those are my props of the day. So in wide-legged fold, sometimes you may notice, I'm going to fix this camera a little bit. In wide-legged pose, you may notice sometimes that the knees don't want to come down, or it's hard to with your knees down to sit up straight. And that's a good opportunity for the blocks. That would be the one thing I might recommend, is if you want to prop up your knees, if it's a challenge to kind of sit up straight and without discomfort, because you don't want to be just uncomfortable, because then you'll be not relaxing your muscles. So here we are in wide-legged fold. And the first thing we're going to do is, once you've come into your wide-legged fold, is let's just loosen up the spine a little bit more. Let's do some cat and cow movements. So we're going to crouch forward in our cat, lift up our chest, open up those shoulders in a cow. We'll just do that 3 more times. Last one, open it up, lift that heart center, drop those shoulders, and then cow it out, cat it out, I guess. Doesn't feel cat-cowy when you're sitting. And then come up. And we're going to do a little bit of a twist to the side. So you're going to take, it'll be my right hand going behind me and my left hand over to my right thigh. Keep still sitting up tall. Just going to hold this simple twist, feeling the prana, the breath moving up and down the spine, keeping those thighs relaxed, keeping those hip bones on the mat. Just take some nice deep breaths, keep the shoulders relaxed. If your hand doesn't want to go behind your back, you can put your block back there to give a little support. Nothing too straining in yin. Just opening up the joints, allowing those ligaments to get bathed in new blood, new nutrients, keeping us young. That's why we all look so young. And take one more deep inhale. And then slowly, slowly come back to center. Don't rush it. Pause in the middle. And then we're going to twist to the other side. So you're going to take the left hand behind your back, keeping the spine straight, the shoulders relaxed. Going to twist over to the left. Notice if each side feels similar or different. Relax those thighs, those hips. Deep inhale. And slowly come back to center. So we're going to come into our first yin pose, which is a forward fold. Again, you can have all kinds of props here to make it comfortable to come forward. You can just come onto your hands, whatever works for you. There's no yin yoga police. It's going to fine you if you don't do it exactly the way you think it's supposed to be. And we're going to stay here just for 2 minutes. So we're going to fold forward, relaxing, softening, letting go. Keep feeling the length in your lower back, the backs of your legs, your hamstrings. Keep letting the shoulder blades soften and release. Slowly, slowly, slowly come up to seated. Bring your hands behind your back. Lift up your heart space and just take a few breaths here to release the pose completely. And then we're going to forward fold over the right leg. So again, you can prop or not. We'll hold this for 2 minutes. So I find in this pose, I'm bending over my right leg and my left hip wants to lift off the mat. So I try to make it so that the left hip will stay on the mat while we're doing work to the right. That helps to soften the attachment of the gluteus medius, your butt muscles, in other words, on the sides of the hip. Nice side stretch too. Keep softening those shoulders. Relax the legs, feet. Again, very, very slowly use your hands to make your way up to seated. And we will transfer those props to the left leg so we can stretch the other side of the side body. So get yourself set up, and we're going to be here again for 2 minutes. Again, keeping this right hip down on the mat. It wants to lift up, so you want to try to keep it down. I find that one side is much easier to stretch than the other. Maybe you do too. So this is a pretty good stretch again for the armpits, the whole rib cage, the inner thigh of the right leg, and the back of the left leg, the hamstring, plus the whole side body on the right. So you get a lot of benefit from doing this stretching. Did it turn out? Simple but effective. You feel the tension releasing as you breathe into the pose. On an inhale, come up slowly, use your hands. And we're going to lie down on our backs for a few breaths to integrate the first half of this posture into our body. So just make your way down onto your mat. You can come into constructive rest pose or lie down fully on your back. Just feel the sensations, feel that chi, that prana. Notice what's opened up, what maybe needs a little more work. Take one more deep, deep inhale and exhale, and then inhale your way up to seated again. So roll over onto your side and make your way up to seated. And we're going to do part 2 of the wide-legged pose. You might not want to have your legs quite so wide this time, or you may want to, if they weren't giving you any bad sensations, you can keep them just the same way. So we're going to do a side bend. So we're going to twist our body around to the left, drop your right hand down onto props or the mat, and we're going to take that left arm up and overhead, trying to keep the chest open. So try not to go forward like this. See if you can keep your body as open as possible as you side stretch. Nothing that's injurious or painful, but something that really opens up that left side of the rib cage. See how my hip is trying to lift off? I'm going to try to push that hip back down and open up the chest. And we're just going to stay here for, oops, I have 3 hours. I guess we won't do that. We'll stay here for a minute. So again, relax as much as possible. Compressing the right side of the body, opening up the left side. If your head is uncomfortable, find a position where your head can be comfortable. You don't want any strain on your neck. Very, very slowly and carefully lift yourself back up, drop that arm down, come back to center, put your hands behind you, lift up your heart space. In fact, bring your feet in, we'll do some windshield wipers here. It's a strong pose. Nice deep breaths. And then come back up to your wide-legged. And we'll finish up this pose. We'll do it on the other side. So again, you're going to twist around to the right, drop your left hand down onto your leg or your props. And we're going to take the right arm up and overhead, keeping that right hip on the mat. And we're going to hold this for 1 minute. So again, keep the heart open. Try not to fold forward. Try to keep the heart open. Just let time and gravity do the work. Don't try to strain and get your arm over. I have days where my arm comes just about to here. So whatever you're doing is exactly right. If you've got a good stretch, great. If you just got a little stretch, great. Sometimes people don't like to have their arm overhead. You could bring your arm behind your back if you wanted to, like this. If you do this tape again, you might prefer just to open up your heart space by keeping your arm behind your back. Slowly make your way up. And we are going to come into our next pose now. So let's just bring those legs together. Maybe shake them up and down a little bit. Maybe pound on your thighs. And we're going to come into another seated pose, which I think is a great side stretch. You may notice a side body theme here. So we're going to start with our windshield wipers again. So again, don't be collapsing like this. Sit up a little bit tall, do a little windshielding. And then we're going to drop those knees down to the right and sit up. If you have props, you can bring them over to the right. And then you're going to take that left leg and move it back as far as it'll comfortably go. So if it wasn't comfortable going anywhere, you can prop it up and just leave it out the front with a block. So we're coming into a kind of a pinwheel shape. We've done this pose a lot. And now we're going to fold forward over that right knee. And we're going to stay here for 2 minutes. This is one of my favorite stretches. So come forward and just relax over that right knee. Just relax everything. Feel the stretch, the outside of the right hip, the whole length of the front of the thigh on the left leg. Totally relax here. propping yourself up as high as you need to be to feel good. You could be looking either to the left, to the right, or to the center, whatever works for your neck. Checking for tension, making sure that everything is staying soft and relaxed. And then an inhale, make yourself comfortable, come up. Take that left leg and shift it around, and we're gonna cross it over the right leg. Take the right leg underneath and you are in shoelace pose. Now, if this is not available to you, you can take the right leg and bring it out in front of you. And we're just going to fold forward for maybe not even a minute, just going to come forward in shoelace pose, getting a different angle on the hips here. So this is a strong pose. I'm going to fold my other leg, but you can have both legs folded or one leg folded. Just, this is a nice stress on the outer hips. Prop between your knees if it's more comfortable too. There's lots of different ways. This is a practice that gets easier to do if you do it over and over. And also for some people, just the conformity of your hips makes a pose easier or more difficult. So if you find some poses really, really challenging, it may not be that you're really stiff in the joints. It may just be that your anatomy doesn't allow you to get into that pose. And never force it, because I did that on one hip and I've been paying for it for a while. So we're just going to slowly roll up. We're going to undo the shoelace, and we're going to lie down for a moment just to feel that feeling in the hips that you get from the stretch we just did on one side. Oh. Just notice if your area around your pelvis can sink a little bit more heavily into the mat after doing a lot of these hip movements. So take another breath, and we're going to slowly roll over and make our way up to seated again to do the pinwheel and shoelace on the other side. So I'm going to prepare, all right, so I'm going to stay over here. All right, so do a little bit of windshield wipers. And then when you're ready, you can drop your knees over to the left this time, and then take that right leg behind you. And put props where you need to feel supported and safe and comfortable. Maybe under your knees or over to the side here. I think I'm going to move over a little bit this way. And then we're going to fold forward over that left thigh. And stretch out the right leg behind you. Great stretch for the sides of the hips. Also, I find this pose emotionally beneficial. If I'm feeling really stressed or anxious, if I get into this pose, for some reason I can release quite a bit of tension. And you may find that there's a yin pose that does that for you. Don't forget to check to see if you're picking up any tension in the hips or the groin or the shoulders or the jaw or the feet. Using your hands, you're going to slowly make your way up to seated. You're going to straighten out that left leg and then swing that right leg over around to the left. Again, this is half shoelace, and this is perfectly great. And you can also prop here or open up your leg a little more if it's comfortable. Or if you want to go into full shoelace, you can bring your left leg back and come into a nice Adidas stretch. Okay, so we're going to fold forward here for a minute. Again, this is a very strong pose, so just relax those hips. Relax the shoulders. On an inhale, use your hands to come back up to seated. Lengthen out those legs. And you can come down on your back and feel the rebound effect. Take one more full breath. And then we're going to roll over onto the belly, horse sphinx pose. So first you want to come right down onto your whole body down on the mat with your forehead on your forearms, and just take a moment here. Feel the difference of having the front body on the mat. And then slowly lift your head and begin to slide those elbows back, lifting up the chest and making a nice curve in the lumbar spine. Now, depending on how long you've been sitting, it may be more or less challenging. This pose, I think I've been sitting a lot because I'm not as happy in my Sphinx pose as I normally am. So you can have your shoulders either way forward and just have a little bit of a curve in the spine, or you can bring your elbows in and come up and have more compression on the lumbar spine. So we're going to stay here for 2 minutes in Sphinx. And in the Sphinx pose, you don't want to be tight with your buttocks. You want your buttocks to really relax. Relax the thighs, relax the glutes. Just let everything soften to let the hip flexors release, get some nice juicy nourishment into those hip flexors and sacrolumbar region. Your awareness on your breath. And if you would like, for the last few seconds, we can come up into a seal pose. This is a little more compression on the spine. Keep the shoulders relaxed, soften through the lumbar region, don't overdo. See how the glutes start to tighten up? You want to soften those glutes. And then slowly lower down all the way onto your forearms. Release the pose. And then roll over onto your back and have a block, a pillow, or your roller handy. We're going to do a supported bridge pose. So I'd love to do it on the roller. So you're going to come onto your mat, bend your knees, and then you're going to take your prop that you're going to use, your block or your pillow or your roller, and you're going to inhale, lift up the hips, and place that support right on your sacrum. Don't get it up too high on your waist. You want to keep it down by the sacrum. You can just stay here for a second and let the lower back settle in. What I've noticed a lot of times is I feel like I'm not really letting go in that region. This is a very tight area in a lot of us. So I want to just really relax here before I lengthen out my legs. And then when you relaxed your whole sacrolumbar region, you can slowly lengthen out your legs and just let that whole top of the hip flexor area let go. And we're going to stay here for 2 minutes. This is a great flexor stretch. You push out through your heels, you get even more of a stretch. Keep that low back relaxed, the jaw relaxed, the shoulders. Bring your feet back underneath your knees, step them on the mat. And then on an inhale, let's lift up and remove, drop your sacrum back down into the mat, and then hug your knees into your chest. Gently rock from side to side. And then keeping your knees up in the air, we're going to take those knees over to the left into a gentle twist. Keeping the right shoulder on the mat, prop those knees if you need to, if they're sticking up in the air. Keep your arms wide, or you can bring your arms up and overhead, whatever you prefer. And then you can keep your head straight up towards the ceiling, or you can look over to the left. Can I put that on? And we'll stay here for 2 minutes. Twisting is so great for your digestive system, although we've been basically twisting the whole class, so this is just an extra twist. I'm actually going to take my right hand and grab onto my left foot to do a cat pulling its tail twist. So that's optional. Well, everything is optional, but I just feel like doing that today. Gently bring the knees back to center and hug them into your chest. And when you're ready, you can drop them down to the right. Again, propping them if you wish. And we'll stay here for 2 minutes. And again, I'm going to grab my right foot with my left hand to get a little more sensation. Again, look up towards the ceiling or towards the left. Slowly release the pose. Hug your knees into your chest. And when you're ready, you can make your way down onto your mat in a comfortable position for the last pose of the class, Shavasana. So make yourself comfortable, socks, pillows, bolsters under the hips. We're going to sit up and read you a poem when you're settled. But first, I'm going to guide you into Shavasana like I used to do in the old days. So once you've settled in, take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. Relax all the muscles on your scalp. Soften your forehead. Let your eyes sit softly in the sockets. Slightly part your lips and soften your jaw. Relax your neck and your shoulders, let them be heavy. Let your arms, wrists, and hands be heavy. Soften your heart and your lungs. Release your belly and your hips. Relax your knees, your calves and shins. Soften your ankles, the tops of your feet, and the soles of your feet. And just let yourself float, absorbing the benefits of your practice today. I'm going to read you a poem by Mary Oliver called Breakage. I go down to the edge of the sea. How everything shines in the morning light. The cusp of the whelk, the broken cupboard of the clam, the opened blue mussels, moon snails, pale pink and barnacle scarred, and nothing at all whole or shut, but tattered, split, dropped by the gulls onto the gray rocks and all the moisture gone. It's like a schoolhouse of little words, thousands of words. First, you figure out what each one means by itself. The jingle, the periwinkle, the scallop, full of moonlight. Then you begin slowly to read the whole story. Start to deepen your breath. Gently nod your head from side to side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretch out. Make your way over onto your side and stay here for a breath or two before coming up to a seated position. Thank you for joining me today in this first of our 3 classes in November. Thank you, Universe, for having the whole Zoom class be recorded and not leaving us hanging. And may you be safe, happy, healthy, and live each day with courage and kindness. Namaste. So I'm thinking we have to have a makeup class